Hi, and welcome to Advancing AI 2025. We're here in sunny San Jose again. And part of AMD's ecosystem strategy is around innovators and in the startup community. And, helping companies build momentum using our products and our solutions and our software. And I'm here with a very good old friend of mine who I've known for a very long period of time, Steen Graham. Steen, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
You're more than welcome. So, Steen, you head up a company called Metrum AI. Maybe let's talk about your company. When did you start it, and why are you partnering with AMD?
Yeah, I started Metrum AI about 4 years ago, and that was kind of pre-transformer model. And so we were really excited about deep learning and convolutional neural networks at the time. And so that's what got us really inspired about how to use deep learning technologies to help businesses transform, increase revenue, reduce costs with all these great computer vision models. And then we got so lucky with the advent of transformer models, and it's just driven this massive explosion for us.
And we've known each other for a while, and you're very, very passionate about the technology that we bring to bear from an AMD perspective. What's it like working with AMD from an ecosystem perspective?
I mean, AMD's fabulous to work with, and I think I love AMD from it's an open kind of programmable stack, and a lot of folks are trying to vertically integrate, and that really kind of inhibits, the innovation that we provide. We want to use, state-of-the-art models, state-of-the-art microservices, state-of-the-art vector databases, state-of-the-art agentic frameworks. So everything we're doing, our AI agents get built and rebuilt, almost on a daily basis now with the pace of innovation. And so AMD allows us, kind of gives us the platform to build on top of that. The other thing, I love about AMD is, kind of best-in-class CPU. And so what we're seeing with AI agents, transitioning off these kind of chatbot architectures or the human-in-the-loop architectures, right? With human in the loop, you need to be really, really fast because nobody has the patience, right? I think the average attention span is like 17 seconds in 2025. And so you got to be really, really fast. But with the advent of AI agents, they can run autonomously 24/7, solving problems and addressing issues. And you can run those in batch workloads as well. And so really AMD gives us the choice between running kind of a batch-based AI agent, on 5th gen EPYC, we've got 3 of them. And then, kind of best-in-class memory footprint on MI300X. We've been running a lot of MI300X code. Obviously, 325 and 350 are even better. But that gives us a TCO advantage. So we were one of the first companies to come out, run a 405 billion parameter model on a single node. And we saw the TCOs. It's no surprise to us that Meta later decided to move forward and serve that model, on instinct, because we saw the TCO story. And a lot of our AI agents are running like 4 or 5 different models, like vision language models, large language models, audio models, segmentation models, embeddings models. So it's a very complex set of models. And so that memory footprint gives us like everything, we need. And it's really about, outcomes and output. Not necessarily like raw speed in that scenario. You're looking for functionality.
Yeah, it's not just a compute thing, right? You mentioned memory, you mentioned accessibility, but you also mentioned models about 20 times there, because I know that's a core part of your business. Maybe let's talk about where are your models used today, and what sort of use cases are you seeing your technology being brought to bear in the industry?
Yeah, so we have right now we have a number of AI agents, and 7 specifically between EPYC and Instinct that we're running. Those agents are kind of targeting a number of industry-specific use cases. The common theme is really around infrastructure monitoring. And so one of the kind of the most boring jobs is you're monitoring a data center, for example. 24/7 data centers got to run. It's shift work. You have to stay compliant with regulatory compliance, with your customers, SOX Type 2 compliance. And when you have an incident, you got server downtime, you're losing revenue, and you're not delighting, a customer. And so, those data center technicians have really hard jobs, shift work jobs, and they kind of wait for issues to occur and then respond to them as quickly as they can and hand it off between shifts. And so we built AI agents, to be able to monitor the infrastructure, autonomously solve problems, write JIRA tickets or whatever your ticketing system is, even generate work orders or software updates where it's deemed fit. And that type of capability, we've also extended to cybersecurity agents. So we have a cybersecurity agent as well. cybersecurity is really challenging. People are starting to use AI to do more malicious things, and you kind of have to fight AI with AI. So these cybersecurity agents, we give them access to the latest defense strategies, the latest cybersecurity tools, and they run 24/7. So, as a cybersecurity expert, you can't monitor your infrastructure 24/7. Again, that's challenging. You might have some observability tools today, but with the AI agent, it can actually take remediation steps while you're sleeping and address those attacks before they become major problems as well. And that kind of infrastructure portfolio extends to manufacturing operations and telecommunications operations. So we have an infrastructure agent that sits on base stations, runs analytics on baseband units and radio heads, and looks at the quality of service metrics like your drop call rate, your data drop rate. So we got a really broad portfolio of infrastructure agents. We even have a new agent that we're releasing that does data center provisioning, because some of us don't want to write provision all the servers. AMD's done a great job with ROCm, but it takes time, to provision and set up a server. So that as well. And we've got a number of other great use cases in healthcare, manufacturing.
That's phenomenal.
As well.
That's phenomenal. And you know what, Steen, it sounds like you're very busy. Okay?
Yeah.
And I think the thread that you're pulling through your value proposition as a company is that you're helping people free up time, right?
Yeah.
To focus on what's really important. Like if you're in cybersecurity, right, you want to be focused on, well, how do I understand and rationalize what's happening to my network, to my data center, and how do I remedy it, right? What's next for Metrum AI? What does the future hold for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, we just we do a lot of day to day, and I think every day we're upgrading our agents. We're building new agents. Right now though, I think there's so many opportunities to kind of empower enterprises with highly secure on-prem agents.
Sure.
With like no code. And I think everybody's kind of seen what you can do with AI coding tools, but ultimately people just want to be able to configure an agent for their use case with their proprietary data, with their proprietary workflows. So we're bringing some products to market that are really going to automate that process and kind of create a no code environment for people to be able to customize and build out their own agents.
So you're essentially, you are bringing AI and AI technology capabilities to enterprises and making it easier for them to go and adopt it by having this no code approach. Would that be correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Today we do a lot of work just making sure we can solve their problems with our AI agents, but just empowering them to be able to just plug and play their existing data, their existing workflows, their existing API integrations, to get them rolling.
Well, Steen, look, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. I love your energy. I love the way you speak about AI with passion. I think it's really important. We need more Steens in the industry.
Yeah.
And I wish you really, really well in your journey with Metrum AI.
Well, I really appreciate it. And thanks for making, fantastic, AI accelerators, CPUs, and great open software stacks for us to innovate off of.
Our pleasure.